Now we're joined this morning in Health Watch by California Congresswoman Mary Bono Mack, who was elected back in 1998 to fill the seat left vacant by her husband, Congressman Sonny Bono, who was killed in a skiing accident. Within 5 years, their teenage son, Cesare, developed an addiction to drugs, which he battled for years. Congressman Mary Bono Mack is here to talk to us about that this morning. Good morning. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Why did you and he decide to talk publicly about such a private struggle?
We both felt that it was very important to raise the awareness of the issue of prescription drug abuse in children. So my son saw it happen in his friends, and he wanted to make sure that other kids knew as well to stay away from prescription drugs.
Let's talk about how his struggle began. He was 9 when his dad died, right?
Mm-hmm.
You saw that effect on him immediately?
Oh, well, of course. The loss of a parent is a huge loss, but it really didn't manifest itself in any way that was, I think, more troubling that would indicate future drug abuse until later on in high school. My son knew to stay away from drugs like, crystal meth and all of the bad drugs, but he thought that if it came in a little brown bottle, it was safe and it was fun. And hey, look, mom and dad, so wherever they get those drugs, somebody's doing it. So they started dabbling with OxyContin, and it turned into an addiction. And I'm very proud of the fact that he's been fighting that. He knows it's a lifelong struggle, but he's a great kid and wants to keep other kids away from it.
Do you think his dad's death was the trigger, even though it didn't happen until years later?
I don't know that it's for me to analyze that. I think that people have various triggers and they deal with stress in different ways. And with my son, more importantly, I think there's a genetic component that addiction has run through both sides of his family forever. My mistake as a parent was I didn't go earlier to something like drugfree.org and look at what I ought to be doing, and I was sort of taking countermeasures that were incorrect. And so for my son, it was a genetic factor, yes, some stress factors, and my mistake was that I didn't really turn to the proper place and get some help for myself and how to help him a lot sooner.
You say it was your mistake. Why is that? Did you notice warning signs that you ignored?
Well, let me say, my mistake is not, his addiction is not my mistake. It's his disease. But my managing his disease was a disease into itself. Codependency is a whole issue. But parents always sort of have to, when you deal with prescription drug abuse, it's not that your kids come home and they smell like alcohol or they smell like pot. You can't do the old sniff check. Mm-hmm. It's a lot more complicated and a lot more dangerous than that.
But did your gut tell you that something was wrong? Was his behavior different? Did you have any way of knowing all those years that he was addicted?
So many families deal with this issue, and it's important to realize that there's an insanity that develops around addiction. And you start putting pieces together that don't really fit, but it takes a lot and a lot of courage to really realize that it's an addiction. At drugfree.org website, actually there's help. You can look, I think my kid might be using, or I know my kid is using, and right there's some answers and tools that you can go to find the steps that you need to take to start on the path of recovery.
How did you discover that he definitely was addicted to drugs?
He told me.
He told you.
It was important for me, and again, with help of people like Partnership for Drug Free America, I was able to see how to set an environment for him to come to me and to make it safe. First of all, to try to remove the stigma, to tell him you're not a bad kid if you're using, but this is a problem in America. It's a disease, and I would talk to you about diabetes if you had diabetes, and I'm going to talk to you and try to help you with drug addiction. So I had to really set that environment for him, and luckily he is such a great kid that he called me up one day and said, Mom, I need help. And I'm blessed and I'm lucky that he came to me to say, Mom, I need help, and I want to help my friends.
So happy he's on the road to recovery. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mary Bono Mack.